Peace, 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 my fellow PFGs. Freeform64 here, and today we're going to do a video on the top 5 things I enjoyed out of my top games on the Nintendo Switch in 2017. Let's get into it.
PFG, bring the game.
Alright, so the number 1 game is Breath of the Wild, as most people already have guessed, and that game was simply incredible. So what are those top 5? The number 1 was a true open world experience. The way that Breath of the Wild just allowed you to go anywhere, climb anywhere, fly anywhere, do anything was just simply amazing, and I just couldn't get enough of that. And the number 2 was the breakable weapons and combat system. The combat system felt just natural. The way that you moved, the way you did things, the way you interacted with the enemies, it felt like you were in a real back and forth. And the fact that you had breakable weapons really made you consider everything. It just really made you think about everything, you know, because you can't just go in there with your indestructible generic weapon that you're just going to stick with the whole game and just keep whacking away until they fall. You really had to think. So I really enjoyed that aspect of the game. Number 3 is the natural progression. The way that the game forced you to get into it and learn what you needed to do. I mean, you just couldn't just depend on a bunch of, go here's and do this and do that. You had to figure it out yourself. Also, there were none of these skill meters, so you didn't have, you're so proficient with this sword, you're so proficient with this bow. That was just up to whether or not you use that sword all the time, or whether or not you use that bow or type of sword and bow all the time that leveled up your proficiency. So it's very natural progression. Gaining the new stamina or hearts, so endurance or health, it was very, again, natural. Because you just go find something, a shrine, get the orb, again decide whether or not you want to upgrade your health or your stamina. And again, with that said, the Pro HUD mode really just made you have to figure out things in a very, again, natural way, because there's no map, there's no meters, nothing letting you know. You have to just kind of, the wind's blowing this way, so this must be north, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you had to do whatever you had to do to get it done. I really enjoyed that about the game. By the way, if you're not playing in Pro mode or Pro HUD mode in this game, you need to be doing it. You're doing yourself a disservice. It is the only way to experience Breath of the Wild, and you'll really get to know the greatness of this game. Number 4 is the AI in the game. The way the AI interact with you, they will pick up a stone and throw it at you. They will deflect your weapon, take your weapon from you, use it against you. They will gang up on you. The enemies are awesome. They think very well. It's not like, they just stand around and wait for the first guy to get killed. They're in the match. They're in the fight, and they're thinking about what is the best way to take you down. So that's really fun. And lastly, the world laws and the physics in the game. Just what you can do in the game is persistent throughout the world. Or, so many games you'll be like, okay, well, when I'm out here, I can do this. But when I step into this door, no, that doesn't work anymore. No. This game, you may just need to think about the laws of the world and say, well, man, let me use some fire and I'll burn these vines out of the way. And well, there it is. It didn't require some special key and some special place to do a special thing. No, it's everywhere. Anything may apply. You have to think in those terms. So it really pulled me further into that world and made me feel like I was really a part of it. Quite enjoyed that. Now, what do I want to see in the game? What are my top wants for Breath of the Wild or Zelda moving forward? The ability to stack buffs from the edibles, right? I don't want to obviously be able to take 20 different attacks and then now my attack power is, skyrocketed, or it lasts for 20 hours or something. But I can have my defense up and my attack up, or I can have my stamina up and my stealth up, or something like that. I just found myself just making so many meals and not really using them as often, because it's like I knew if I used one and it was going to be a 20-minute long, usage, if I wasted by taking another one, then I'm kind of screwed, right? I'm like, dang, I just kind of wasted that one. So if you give me the ability to use one and then stack it with another one, that'd be cool. Lastly, what I'd like to see, and what I thought we were going to get to see in Breath of the Wild, there was no real indicator saying that, but I would have hoped to see it anyway, in the next Zelda, I would like to see diving and underwater exploration. We need to get back into that water, baby. This game was just calling for some water exploration, and there was no ability to dive. I did like the swimming, it was a throwback, but come on, like, let me dive, you know? Where's those iron boots? Let me get under the water. I want to see what's going on down under the sea, you know what I mean? So yeah, those are the things that I would like to see in Breath of the Wild. Those are my top 5 on that game. Let's go ahead and move on to the second game, see what it's all about. All right, so here we are on Super Mario Odyssey, and Super Mario Odyssey was fantastic. Simply love this game. Great end of the year game to have for everybody. If you don't have it, like Breath of the Wild, you need to have it in your collection, okay? So, number 1 was Cappy and the creatures that you captured. I'm not going to go into all the different names of them, and the types, but there were so many different types of creatures that you captured in the game that were some familiar and some new, but the way that it changed up the gameplay was fantastic. And Cappy as a character was so freaking cool. I mean, who would have thought Mario's hat with a pair of eyes on it would have been something that you would really enjoy? Cappy was fantastic. That feature was fantastic, so I really enjoyed having that in the game. Okay, so number 2 is Mario's expanded moveset. Him being able to do all different things in this game that just were naturals. Like, if I want to do this, this, and that, let me try this, and it just would work. You're like, really? I could do that? And it just didn't feel mechanical. It felt just very flowy, just the way in the combat system of Breath of the Wild. It just reminded me of that same kind of just flow. It's like, if you wanted to do it, try it, and it actually would work. You know, it was so creative the way they thought of how you wanted to move Mario and the things that you wanted to do. You can tell the designers were really playing this game, and that was really cool. Number 3 is the photo mode. The photo mode, and of course being able to record videos. That's when that was introduced to the Nintendo Switch. So that was awesome, being able to share videos with people. But the photo mode, more in particular, because this was built into the game specifically, was fantastic. So much fun. If you'd like to see some of the pictures that I've taken on Mario Odyssey, I've uploaded quite a few of them up to my Twitter at Freeform64. Check those out. You can actually check them out at under hashtag PFG64. So yeah, I got plenty of different photos from a number of different games, but you'll catch the Mario Odyssey ones there. I love it. I love taking the photos. Anyway, moving on. Let's see what number 4 is all about. So the 4th one that really caught me in Mario Odyssey was the mini games. There's so many freaking mini games in this game. I did not think it was going to be this crazy. The one that got me the most was the RC car. I loved a ton of them. The one where you're that bouncy ball creature, I can't remember the name, but you're bouncing around. Just reminded me of some Nintendo 64 Diddy Kong Racing days. It was, oh my god, I don't know how they did that, but it just, the feels, right? The feels. But the RC racing was crazy because you got the car, you're just expecting to play like a standard, racing game essentially, and you're like, wait a minute, this is an RC car? Are you kidding me? And then you go into the room after getting the first moon, you go into that building, and there's a track. Mind blown. I couldn't get enough of that. Beautiful. So that takes us to number 5, and that is the cosmetic gear that you get when playing the game. You discover new moons and you get coins, and you're always wanting to find out what's next, what's new that you can wear. And so it didn't really change anything as far as your abilities, but it definitely changed the way you felt about Mario and the experience itself. It just constantly put a new smile on my face, and it was like, this is something I never expected in the game. So it was nice to just discover new gear that you can get. I don't think I have all of them. I think I've gotten every one of them except for 2. I didn't get the dress. Oops. So yeah, that's the top 5 there. Let's move on to the things that I would like to see in the next game, or what I'd like to see in this one. Well, I guess I don't want to spoil it, but at least as far as being able to play, I will say you didn't get to play as Luigi. You didn't get to play as Luigi. And well, you know what? If you haven't played Mario Odyssey by now, I'm sorry, but you don't even get to see Luigi. At least I don't have any memory of seeing Luigi in the game, and that was unfortunate. I would at least have liked to see my boy Luigi in the game. And you do get a set of gear that allows you to wear his attire but it doesn't actually make you look like him. You know, you just look like Mario and Luigi's gear, and it's kind of like, okay. You could have given me at least Luigi, yo. Giving me Luigi, yo. The last thing is the leaderboards. You know, I was striving my butt off, but then it's like you'll never be number one, dude, because there's some hacker or some dude with an incredible amount of time and like robotic reflexes, because they got like the highest scores that are unattainable by any human being that I'm aware of. And yeah, Nintendo just doesn't do anything about them. So that kind of sucks, because it would have been nice to have that arcade feel. You know, back in the day, getting the highest score was a real deal. Now it's kind of like, yeah, whatever, because you already know it's some hacker that had messed around and, you know, got the highest score on you. So whatever, forget it. And that kind of spoiled the online experience for me as far as the leaderboards. Now, you can still compete amongst your friends and people you have on your list that own the game, but, you know, still I would have liked to be able to have that, you know, that chance, that feeling like I got the chance to get that number one spot. So, whatever. There's that. So now on to the next game, and that is Splatoon 2. And Splatoon 2 for me has been an amazing experience. I've been interested in the game since the first one and hadn't gotten to play it because it was on the Wii U. But once I got into Splatoon 2, I was like, yo, this is crazy. So the top 5. The core game experience is my number 1. Just the game itself, just the core premise is just a great idea. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it actually is, but this game is good. Number 2 is the map rotation. I actually like in the casual play the map rotation, even in the tournaments and things. That is cool too. Our ranked battles, I would say. The map rotation is cool because it gives you an opportunity to figure those maps out and get back in the game and get better and get better and get better and get better. And then you get a nice little flip and you don't ever have to worry about seeing that map again, or those 2 maps again, for a while, you know. So I like that. 3 is Salmon Run. The PvE is really cool. I enjoy the PvE. I think it's creative how they came about it and what they did, you know, having these crazy salmon-like creatures or whatever, and you just run around on the maps. That's a great game that needs to be explored further, and I'll get into that a bit later. Number 4, and that is the solo play. I like the solo play because it's a great training ground, essentially, just to get a good feel of the game. It's fun. The bosses are fun. I haven't actually completed it yet because I took a little break, and then I got directly into that multiplayer. But it is good. It is definitely good. And lastly, at number 5, we have the OST. That's the original soundtrack. And that thing is banging. I'm talking about some of the best music I've heard. And I know I've just mentioned 2 other games with epic soundtracks as well, and I love those. But I say this one for one reason and one reason alone. It makes the battles so epic. I mean, just every single one of them is just like, it's like they got you feeling what they want you to feel in the beginning. You're like, okay, all right, let's go. Gotta do what I gotta do. And then in the middle of the round, just have this sense of urgency at all times. And then the last portion, when it's clutch, the music, it just gets you just in this rush. It just motivates you to keep pushing. And it's so crazy because the game, you never know. You could be looking at that map and you're like, man, we're done. And if you keep pushing, in a matter of seconds, you could have taken that map seriously. So the music is so core to the experience in this game. Whereas most first and third person shooters, if I've played anyway, they don't actually have music in the gameplay. So you're kind of like, wow, how does this work? You know, and it works phenomenally. So I love the music in this game for that reason. So there you have it. My top 5 is Splatoon 2. Now, let's get into my top wants. What do I want to see out of Splatoon 2? I would have loved the ability to play the single player to where you can have a co-op of either, 2 people playing together or possibly more. The game itself, it just begs to have that happen. they really need to expand on that experience outside of the competitive aspect, I guess you could say. And the PvE I was mentioning before in the Salmon Run, if that could be expanded into, a long narrative-driven game where, 2 to 4 players can work together, that would be amazing. I think Splatoon has the potential there. Let's hope this third one introduces something like that, because this game really deserves it. It's just got such a great core mechanic to it that I think this game would do really well with a PvE mainline experience. There you go. And lastly, give me the ability to create a public party. I can create private parties, but I can't create a public party, and allow us to be, consistently on the team that we want to be on. I don't know what's going on over there at Nintendo, but that really needs to change. It's one of the most annoying things about this game in particular, especially when you have third-party companies doing this extremely well. I mean, even tiny games are doing this well. So I don't want to get into that. Nintendo, please make it happen. That's my Splatoon 2. Let's move on to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, I'm still deep in the game right now. I think I've gotten over 40 hours or so in the game. Loving this game. Let me see how many hours do I actually have in this game. It's such a big game. It just makes you kind of forget about how much time you spend in it. Yeah, 55 hours in the game. Wow. 55 hours in, and I still feel like I got a huge chunk of gameplay left. There's just so much in this game. I recommend, if you play this game, give yourself at least 30 hours. So really, I would say at this point, I've been playing the game for about 25 hours. Because what I've been playing for about 30 hours is training. There's a lot of game here. Alright, so anyway, getting into it, my top 5 were for the game. Traditional JRPG feel. The game just has all the meters, it has all the numbers, it's just all this stuff going on. You've got your crew with you, where some of the older Japanese RPGs would have, the one guy running around, and then when you would talk to somebody, all these people would come out of your back, and they just make this huge formation. You're like, how the hell did you guys fit in this back? So you have your crew running with you. There's the big flashes and bangs, awesome moves, all that stuff. I love that about JRPGs, and it's not lacking here in this game at all. So I love that. So number 2 is the combo system and blade drivers, chain combos, all those different things you can do with this combat system, I should say. But there's just so many different combos and things you can do in this game that, again, when you first start playing your first 10 to 15 to 20 hours, you're going to feel like, yeah, there's not really much to this. There's a lot of auto attack going on and, a little sparse here and there. But you've got to give yourself some time, because the game is really trying to give you an opportunity to get comfortable with this one new step that you learn, because that one new step has a lot of layers to it in itself. This one thing isn't just standalone. It's going to have to be, tied to this, which is going to be learned, and it has its own standalone thing. But when you think about them together and how they affect one another, it's just going to be even more to figure out. So there's a lot to it, and I really love all that it offers there, because as the game continues, the combo systems become that much more involving, and it's like, okay, this is a really good gameplay experience. So the third thing that I really enjoy about Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is the anime storytelling. The way that the game is just not taking itself so seriously is something that I didn't think I would get in this game. I thought it would be really serious, just animated and things, but not goofy with a lot of the tropes that you see in anime. The the eyeballs and the sweat ball, the sweat drops and the over animated type of stuff, the flailing arms, all of that is in this game. All the different things that you'll see in anime, and I just really thought that was fun. So anyway, moving on from that, I really did enjoy that. So number 4 would be the world design in this game. The way that the game has you planted on these giant creatures, titans. At first, I don't know, it seems like, wow, this is going to be kind of cool. But when you're actually in the world and you're playing the game, you're like, yo, this is insane. Like, I'm literally on this giant creature. Look at how tall this thing is. It makes me feel so tiny, you know. It just, and then you're sometimes inside of these things. So there was one area where one of the Titans just came up out of the cloud sea and consumed us. And I'm like, this is going to be kind of weird. Kind of gross, huh? No, it's like a huge world inside this thing's belly. Crazy. Cities and all. Like, what is going on here? Okay. It's kind of strange, but at the same time, it's like, this is wild. This is a living land, you know, which the land is living, but to see it actually be a sentient being that you can see has a head, mouth, tail, legs, and all that stuff here really kind of freaks me out. And at the same time, it's just inspiring because the locations are so beautiful. So, yeah. All right, and this is the fifth and final thing that I really, really, really liked about the game, and that is the camera panning and zooming ability. I didn't think that the game would come with a camera that is pretty much fully customizable, if you will, to the point where you can zoom all the way into, which is practically a first-person view. And sometimes I enjoy actually running around in the game in first person. I mean, I'm like, dang, I'm pretty much playing Skyrim here. Let's go, let's do it, you know. You can actually battle in first person, and depending on what kind of blade you're using and attacks that you're doing, you'll be looking as if you were in first person, but then there'll be times where your character will poke out in front of the camera and you'll see them protruding out and you'll see them, you know, swinging the blade or whatnot. But it's not too distracting. It's actually kind of cool to play in what is, you know, the first person mode in the game. So, the top wants in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I wish there was a better map in the game. The map in the game, oh my god, it's pretty useless. I don't know. I mean, until you've actually explored that location and really kind of done everything that you need to do, essentially, it's not really that good for you. You know, times people will be like, hey, we want you to do this and go here. And you're like, go where? Do what? And you look at the map and you're like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. So you just kind of have to, I mean, there have been times literally I've had to go online and try to figure it out. They could have done a much better job on the map. I want that fixed so bad. The second thing I would really like to see changed in the game, or in the next game, assigning the blades after you've bonded with them. So, and that's one of the things, it's like it's a part of the story and how it works. So how does that work exactly, right? I'm far, but I think there's quite a bit more for me to do. I'm only level 33, I believe, and you can get pretty high up there. So maybe things will change later on to where it won't be as difficult. But right now, it's like the map is pretty crappy as it is. I don't even know where the heck I got these overdrives in the first place. Pretty sure they didn't detail that to me. But anyway, you have to use overdrives, and once you've used them all up, once you've bonded a blade to somebody, that's it. You know, you can't switch it to whoever you want to. You have to wait until you find yourself another overdrive. So that kind of sucks. So this next one is something that can be fixed. The voiceovers during combat are extremely repetitive. It doesn't matter what language you're using. It's like, let me turn down the voiceovers so that way I don't hear the same, you know, we're gonna win with the power of friendship. We're gonna win with the like, oh my god. At first it's not so bad because you're like, oh, I can hear the banter back and forth, but then you're like, yo, they just said the same thing. And then, you know, you get new people coming into the party, but the initial party members will still say the same stuff, so it doesn't matter. And the new person probably only has 2 or 3 things that they say as well. And so it's kind of like, okay, this is way too repetitive. Turn down the voices. I don't want to hear it anymore. And that's unfortunate. And again, maybe there is a bit more. I don't know. I haven't completed it yet, but maybe there is, and we'll see. That's really all that I had major issue with in the game so far anyway. But great game, excellent game. It's just a very big and ambitious game, and there's some things that can definitely be fixed in it, for sure. that hampers it from its absolute greatness that it deserves to have. So it's unfortunate, but again, it doesn't really destroy the game to the point that I just really can't enjoy it. I do believe, I've heard, because I've been searching something about the overdrive, that once you get to a certain point in the game, the overdrives will become drops. So hopefully that does become a thing, because that just really sucks. That you have to go find a chest and get them in these chests and not know what they are until you either go online and find out, maybe there's an informant, because there are informants in the game. Maybe they'll tell you. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to go search these dang informants and see if I can pay somebody to give me some information on that. Anyway, you guys, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I'm glad to share with you guys my top 5s of my top 4 games in 2017 on the Nintendo Switch. And if you really enjoyed this, please hit that like button, share it with your friends, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I've got plenty more coming. And if you want to follow me on a regular basis outside of YouTube, you can follow me on Twitter. That's at Freeform64. If I hadn't said it already, you can go ahead and see it right there, Freeform64. And I'm usually active on there on a daily. So if you have a Google Plus, also, by the way, you can check out some daily news that I post on Google Plus at the PFG Live Nation. So that's PFG Live Nation. I'll leave a description or a link in the description so you guys can check that out if you like reading a bit of news on a daily, you know, when you're drinking your coffee or whatever, you wake up, get some good news at night, just settling in. And with that said, I'd like to bring this video to a close and wrap this up as my last video of the year 2017. It's been a great year, you guys. I really enjoyed this time, and I'm just glad that we were able to make it to this point now. And I'll see you guys on the other side of 2017. Until next time, keep it gaming. Peace.
PFG, bring the game.